Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar, Enhancing the Value of Your Content, part of the Microsoft Syntex in Action webinar series. Let me start with some introductions. My name is Vlad Catrinescu. I'm a Microsoft MVP from Montreal, Canada. I've been a MVP for 10 years now. I was just talking with Gokhan a bit earlier. I just got my blue disc over here. You might not see it if you watch this on the recording because of the way Teams crops it, but actually let me go. Super happy I got this little blue disc. It's not a lot, but it means a lot to MVPs. I'm also an author on Pluralsight, and for those of you on Twitter, or I should call it X now, I need to update that logo. You can find me at Vlad Catrinescu. Today, I'm joined by a really good friend of mine and Microsoft Syntex expert, Gokhan of Chifchi. How are you doing, Gokhan?
Hey, thank you so much, my friend. I'm doing very well. Hey guys, my name is Gokhan, joining you from the good sunny Brussels, Belgium. And I'm a Microsoft MVP, as Vlad mentioned as well. It's also my 10th year in the program. I didn't receive my blue disc yet, so I'm going to show you something else, a yellow stuff, but, just to make like Vlad. So hopefully soon I'll get my blue disc as well.
Montreal is a bit closer to Seattle than Brussels. That's what happens.
I think so. So I've stopped writing books because, no one reads that anymore. Everything is done by Vlad now. I hand it over to Vlad. And my Twitter handle is xgokhan. So if you have any questions or you want to follow me, that's the place to be.
Gokhan was a visionary. He had xgokhan even before Twitter was called X. So now it's xgokhan on X. It just works so well. Okay, let's do a recap. I mentioned this is part of a webinar series. We actually had our first webinar last week called the SharePoint Advanced Management License. It's available on demand if ever you missed it. When you get the recording for this webinar, I'll make sure to add a link in there so you can go watch it, just in case you couldn't attend that one. Today, we're doing a webinar on enhancing the value of your content with Microsoft Syntex, which is another one of the perks of Syntex because it's such a big product suite. And finally, we will have a on-demand video called What's Coming Next, because Syntex is, in a way, something that Microsoft worked on for years, but they recently started announcing quite a ton of features, and they're not all there yet. So we didn't want to do a full-hour webinar for that one just because we cannot show it to you live. We love to do demos, so we're just gonna do around a 30-minute pre-recorded visual on that one, and it will be in your inbox sometimes by the end of the first week of October. At least that's what Gokhan promised me. A bit of housekeeping for today. The webinar will be recorded. Yes, I'm recording. Right, Gokhan? Just
Yes,
to
you
make
are.
double sure. Good. Just wanted to make double sure. So the webinar will be recorded and will be available on demand after. You will get an email by tomorrow morning with the recording of the webinar as well as the slides. And please ask questions. We don't want to be talking alone for the next 1 hour, so you have the chat open, you have the Q&A widget. Please ask questions. Please send reactions if you see us present something that you love. Don't be shy. So what's the plan for today? Well, we've already done the introductions. That's the good part. After that, Gokhan will take over. The first thing Gokhan will talk about is an introduction to Syntex models. So what are models? Why do you care? How to configure them? And after that, we will really take it to the next level and we will learn what other parts of Syntex we can use to get the most out of it. We will have lots of demos, everything we talk about, we will show it to you in practice. And of course, we will have a live Q&A. If ever you have questions while Gokhan shows something, please put them in the chat or the Q&A widget. We'll get to them right away. And if you want, you can also wait until the end, but we'll make sure we answer all the questions you have. Goku, did I miss anything?
You haven't missed anything yet, my friend. Thank you so much.
Yet. Okay, good. So far, so good. Do you want to take over and start showing us some syntax? There we go.
Yes, just let me know when you can see the
I
screen.
can see your screen.
Fantastic. Okay, welcome. Hello, everyone. It's time for some syntax goodness with models. I will cover a few slides of introduction that I did last week. I only have 3 slides to bring you up to speed what syntax is and what it can do, and then we'll deep dive into models for the next 45 minutes. Syntax is the next generation toolset of Microsoft, which will help you understanding documents, processing documents in a compliant way. It will use AI to actually do 4 main pillars. The first one is it will extract data from documents, from images you have with the new OCR capabilities, and you will discover new knowledge. With that new knowledge, well, you can extend that knowledge, or you can even bring this into your compliance, where you can increase your compliance. That is syntax what it's doing for your value. So you can replace old legacy tools with syntax, because it's the next generation tool set that will help you discovering new values with the new models. You can extend that data within Microsoft Power Platform or the Graph APIs, or even with the data gateway on premises, and then apply some policies and retention labels on top of it. Syntax, people are scared because they don't know what really syntax is. But basically, you have 3 main pillars. First one is syntax itself. Syntax itself for extracting data, manipulating that data. Then you have the SharePoint Advanced Management License that we discussed last week. And then finally, you have the Viva Topics, which is like the first tool that came out from the Project Cortex era, before even Microsoft Syntex was Microsoft Syntex. We covered the first 2. The first one, SharePoint Advanced Management. Today we'll cover the syntax, the biggest part, within the next 45 minutes. Topics will not be covered yet. Maybe Vlad, when he is going to be in a good mood, he'll say, hey, Gokun, let's do it. But it's not planned yet for this one. One little remark I have to tell you guys from last week. It is not because they all share the same foundation that with one license you can get all of them. Each component, actually artifact within syntax requires its own license. Viva Topics has its own licensing, the SharePoint Advanced Management has its own licensing, and the SharePoint within the model framework has even multiple licensing, which we come back in a few seconds. Why is it extremely important? Again, another slide from last week. Whenever you actually extract the data from syntax, well, the backend is SharePoint. And who says SharePoint? Says integration with Power Platform. You can customize the form. You can use that document library as a connector within your Power App or Power Automate. You can convert this with a Power Virtual Table and write back to Power Pages, or even convert this into Dataverse table. So you can take that newly discovered data and bring that to the next generation applications, or even go to the right side, to the SharePoint side of the story, and you can build SharePoint framework solutions. You can use the Graph API to trigger your calls and get data from Syntex, which is SharePoint in the backend, or even use it within Visual Studio or PowerShell. You can go to the top and go to the search and search for that newly extracted data, or even apply some retention policies, DLPs, on top of that data to protect the data. This one, that's from last week, so I'm not going to deep dive into that one. So basically, that's it. What you have to remember, syntax, 3 pillars, Viva Topics, the SAM, SharePoint Advanced Management capabilities, as well as the syntax models. And today, it's all about the models. What you need to know is the following. Syntax provides you 2 different ways on actually creating your models. The first one is the structured and the unstructured models. This one, the first one, is the teaching which we call the unstructured model. The unstructured model is a model in syntax which will help you extract data automatically from that specific document and bring that into your content type. This is the most difficult one because you have to have all that knowledge and build the knowledge for the model. The two ones on the right side, where they are the most easily done models in the world that you can ever do. And we will see that it's because it's using AI builder from Power Platform in the backend. With the teaching method, which is like the unstructured model, well, you have to build that knowledge one by one and explain to your model how you should extract that data and how you can get that data. On the right side, well, Power Platform will, for you, analyze the documents, and you just have to click on that data and say how you want to extract that data. You also have pre-built models from Microsoft. There is one new, which I think is missing from that slide, but it's brand new. You have the invoice processing and the receipt processing, which is models from Microsoft that will help you on scanning invoicing, on scanning receipts, and then it will extract automatically for you all the data from that model. An example that we saw in the US was they had a Walmart receipt, and it could perfectly extract all the information with the receipt processing. So Microsoft has some pre-built models for you, which will help you extracting that data. So what is the difference? A lot. If you look to the structured and unstructured model, well, you will see that from model creation to classification type, from location to supported regions and so on, they are all different. What's really important for me is this one, the transactional cost. Today, unstructured is pay as you go, because we know Syntex is trying to get to a pay as you go model. But today, you still can use the old classic licenses per user plan. So that's still working. So Microsoft is going away from that old model to the pay as you go. However, if you go for the structured model, that's still not there yet. So you still need your Syntex licenses plus AI Builder credits. And I'm going to show that to you in a couple of seconds. If you have that Syntex licenses, but you don't have that AI Builder credits, well, you won't be able to create structured models. What's really important as well is for the compliance perspective, well, you can apply some retention labels and sensitivity labels to your unstructured. However, for the structured ones, as the backend is still Power Platform, well, it's coming soon where you can apply that. A lot of differences, but it's going to be easier to understand when we go in real life for the demo. As Microsoft is going for pay as you go, so you will be charged as you use, and only when you use it in production. So if you test your models, well, you won't get charged. But if you train the model, either it's all going to be for free. However, if you're in production and you're going to use the unstructured document processing, the most difficult one, as I try to say it, well, it's going to be 5 cents, no, 0.05 cents per page. If you use the templates, the pre-built ones of Microsoft, that's even less. It's $0.01 per page, 1 cent per page, which is almost peanuts. I have a few slides about why pay-as-you-go is the next thing for Syntex. It's only for your reads. I love it. Some people hate it. Some people love the old way, the end user, the classic user licenses. Some people love the Syntex pay-as-you-go because they know they only have like a few documents and they know they will only be paying like $10 per month. So why would they invest into a full license? It has its pros and contrasts in each of them. So I'll let you have a look for that. I'm not going to go into a pay-as-you-go model. So now I'm going to bring my screen here. And Vlad, just let me know if you can see the browser.
Yes, I do. I see the beautiful SharePoint library.
Fantastic. So this is actually a classic SharePoint site, a SharePoint document library. And how do you actually know if Syntex is enabled into that? Well, you should be able to see something very new. The classify and extract button is going to become available whenever you enable Syntex. That by default is not there. So if I go to the admin center under the org settings, well, I have something called SharePoint Syntex if I have the licenses, right? I can just click here and you will see that I have some settings just there. I have the content center. So by default, you don't have a content center and you have to create one content center. And that content center is actually like the SharePoint Central Admin. It's the place where you will train your models. It's the central location where you can upload some invoices, some documentation that you want to use them as a foundation to your models. But hey, you can have multiple content centers. So if you in your organization make a segregation between your teams, well, you can have a marketing content center, you can have an IT content center, you can have an HR content center, right? You can create that. You just create a brand new site, and then you just apply the content center template, and you will get a content center site. You can edit the name from the admin center. However, it's not possible to edit the content center address. If I click on it, well, you will see it's file not found because I did make a test and then I did create a new one, but I couldn't replace generate the first one, which will give to a non-existing site. So the one that I'm using now has a little dash, which I had not with the first one. So just so you know, if you ever want to create a content center, you deleted it, and you have applied this as a first content center, then within the admin center, I haven't found a way to change it out of the box. Probably PowerShell can do that, but I'm not aware of that. So how you create a content center? I come to my SharePoint admin center. I just create here a new site. And then here, well, you see the Syntex Content Center. If you click on the Syntex Content Center, well, you just give it a name, and then your site will be created for you. Normally, you can also create a Topics Content Center if you have like the license, which is almost the same as the Syntex Content Center, which has a few more options specifically for topics. Now, if you click on that one again, well, the Content Center is okay. We know it's a SharePoint site, which contains all the models and the training material. But then you have all those models, the pre-built, unstructured, and structured. As a SharePoint admin or as the Office 365 admin, well, you can define which sites can use the pre-built ones, the unstructured ones, and the structured ones. I can click on the pre-built and say, I like to edit this. I like that every library in all SharePoint sites can use Syntex, or I can say no SharePoint libraries, or I can say specific ones. I don't really like the way on how they did implement this. Instead of selecting the sites within the admin center, I have to, you can also upload a CSV file, which, feels very old, but hey, it's possible, right? So I can just select my sites from here, right? Or if you have like hundreds of sites, well, you can go for a site template CSV. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel. I like to see it from everywhere. So basically, you can define in which library you want to show those different models. What I like to show is the following. I have another tenant, and I'm going to just drag and drop this here. If you don't have AI Builder, you can see this is a test tenant, and it clearly says, my friend, you are missing your AI to your apps. Try it out. You have 30 days. If I come to my document library and I say, within my model, I like to create a model, well, you'll see I have the teaching method, which was the most difficult one, but I miss the two which are backed by AI Builder from Power Platform in my environment. If I come back here to my Syntex Content Center, if I do the same operation within my Content Center, I go to my models and define to create a model, well, you will see that the freeform and layout are now visible because I do have some credits and I do have the appropriate license to build those within my Content Center. Now, whenever you are within the Content Center, well, you have two parts that you really need to know and really learn by heart. You have the training files, which are the most important one. So you, as the Content Center owner, could be for the whole organization or for a simple business unit, well, you can upload here some training material. I have some Uber invoices. I do also have some real invoices that I do send out to customers. You can upload as much as you like to here. So other people which are building the models, well, they can use those files to generate their models. So that's called the training files. If you go to your models, well, you will see a list of all the models you have into your content center that your colleagues could apply and use into their document library. Now you'll see it's empty, so let's build a new one. I have the teaching one, the freeform layout, and then the pre-built ones. So let's go for the most difficult one, right? Why go for the easy one if we have a very difficult one just in front of us? I'll choose the teaching methods, and then it gets a lot of information, basically the one that I did right into my PowerPoint presentation. And if I click on next, well, it will ask you 3 questions. First one, it will say, hey, what's the model name? So I'm going to say it's the Uber invoice extracting model. You can write some description, model for Uber invoices. Remember I told you have 3 questions? Here I only see like 2, but there is one section which is hidden, which says to you, hey, Gökhan, do you like to create a new content type, or should I select an existing one? You know, within your document library, within all the metadata, where you will extract data from the file and you will add them into a column, well, you can create a brand new content type, or you can just select an existing one within the manage metadata. And you can see I've been doing a lot of exercises, and you can see a bunch of content types just here. I will just select a brand new one just here. And remember what I told you at the start of the presentation, well, you can apply some sensitive labels. So whenever you upload a document into your document library, Syntex will extract the data, and it can automatically apply some sensitivity labels on top of it. Well, it could be internal use, public, encrypted, highly confidential, all depending on how you want to use your sensitivity labels in your organization. I'm just going to say, hey, I don't want to use it. I'll just create a new one, and I'll click on create. Now, in the backend, my model will be created for me, but it requires some attention. The first thing, and you have 4 things to do. The first of the 4 is I need to add some examples. I need to classify the files and run a training. I have to create some extractors. And finally, the easiest one, I have to apply this. So let's go here and apply some documents. Remember the Uber invoice and the sample? That's typically the files that comes from the same content center from the training files. I'm going to click on Uber, and I'm going to select 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 invoices. For the teaching method, you have to have 5 good invoices and 1 bad invoice. I have no clue idea on why they did that like that, but what I know, that's the minimum. So basically, you can also say, okay, I'm going to upload 20 good ones and 5 bad ones. That's okay as well. If you tell me I'm going to upload 30 good ones and 20 bad ones, that's also okay. The minimum is 5 good and 1 bad. So
Can one of them be bad, Gökhan, just because it's too expensive and I don't want to pay it? Is that a good reason for it to be a bad invoice?
You are not charged for training and doing your models. So I don't know, like probably maybe that's the reason, but technically why only 1 minimum and why minimum 5? I don't know. Okay. I know it doesn't reply to your question, but I think next time we need to check with the Syntex PG and ask the question why. Now that we have uploaded the files, now we have to classify the files and run the training. You have to tell him which is a good invoice and which one is a bad invoice. So the Nioxi 001, well, that's a bad invoice. So I'm going to just say negative. Oh, this one, that's a good one. This one is a good one. This and this and this, they're all good ones. So now I told my model, hey, if you ever receive an invoice which looks like that one, well, that's not a good invoice. However, if you receive one that looks like those ones, well, they are all good ones. Now I click on train, and now I have to tell him how he should understand that this is about a Uber invoice. Well, you have to add an explanation. Here on the plus, you have two choices. First one is a blank, or you can go for a template. If you click from Go a Template, Microsoft provides you a bunch of explanations that could help you understanding the model on how he can actually understand about what invoice you're talking about. I could, if I have credit cards, I can add a credit card explanation. If I have an invoice with currency, I can add the currency template. I can add email, I can add email dates, and a bunch of others. What you can also do is you can also go for blank. And then you can say, okay, what's the name and what's the explanation type? I'll go for Uber because I know I'm looking for Uber invoices. And then you can say, okay, it can be a fair list, which is words, patterns, numbers, or other characters. It could be a regular expression or a proximity. I'll go for it's a word. Vlad, a question for you. What type of text can I write here in if I'm looking for Uber invoices?
Let's see. Is there a driver? I think there's a. Well, no, it doesn't say driver. It said you wrote with, and it says the name of the driver. So that's something that's only in Uber invoices.
That's a 9 on 10, but that's the next step. Now I'm telling him that he needs to find the Uber driver, Uber license, Uber invoice, my goodness, Uber invoice. And if I click on Uber, well, you will see that it brings a suggestion to me. And now I can say, okay, you will understand that this is a Uber invoice if you see the Uber letter into my invoice. I'll click on tab and accept the suggestion. If you come to the settings, well, you can definitely also here within the syntax model say, oh, that Uber word is at the beginning of the file, it's at the end of the file, or it's a custom range. If I just click on the beginning, well, you can just extend that area if you know where the Uber word is, so the model will only look into that specific space. You can just change the position by doing this, or just, take that control and make the area bigger. Do the same for end or custom range. I always do anywhere in the file. And then you can also go for any letter from A to Z, like if it's capital or not, if you get some digits, or you can definitely go for the F capital 4 and not 4 as a minimum capital just here. So you can choose anything you want. Now I only look for the word Uber because I know I'm looking for Uber invoices.
Hey, Gökhan, I have a question for you in the chat. So
sure.
The question is, will this do OCR? So if ever the PDF is, let's say an image, for example, in a PDF, will it do OCR? Because somebody said in the chat that they couldn't get OCR to work on the library. It works for the tagging and everything, but after that, it stops working. Is it a different license required, or is there anything you need to do to make it happen?
Okay, so OCR comes whenever you enable pay-as-you-go within your syntax modeling. OCR is still in preview. We have slides. To give you an example, I'm in the European tenants, and I still haven't received OCR capabilities in my tenant. But if it's not working, I would assume it's normal because it's still in preview within syntax. And that's one of the things that we will discuss in the on-demand video in the coming days. So now It looks like I do have a problem. So we'll just, and that's one of the things that is bad with the teaching method is it's extremely complex to troubleshoot whenever you have issues. So I'm going to just disable those two, and you can, if not wrong, just, before removing them, just disable them. And let's now see. Now, I just, disabled those two. You can basically also remove them, but hey, let's not lose some time. Now, he looked for the explanation of Uber, and he now says you have a match everywhere, so you get an accuracy of 100%. My personal experience is, if you have less than 85, let's even say 90, that's bad. I always say if it's higher than 90%, then it's very good. 100%, that's the best. But if you have like less than 90, 85, I would say try to add more explanations to explain syntax on how to understand that this invoice is an invoice about Uber. Okay, now that's my model knows how to understand that this is a Uber invoice. Now, Vlad, you know what? We'll have to do exactly what you have been telling. Tell him how he can extract data in that invoice. Now, Vlad.
I was too excited, Gokan. I'm sorry. The coffee kicked in. Too much Nespresso this morning.
You know, when I have a Uber invoice, I like to know the price, right? That seems fair. And I can create a new column or use an existing column, and then I can add this in a type of column. As you can see, it's single line of text, multiple line of text, date and time, number, and so on. What I would really, and I hope Microsoft is listening to us now or even on YouTube, is I would love to get the same as Dataverse capabilities. You know, Dataverse has way more options as column types, and I like to see the same within SharePoint. So today it's only 5, but I really hope soon we will get way more. So I'll go for single line of text, and I'll create this. Oh, there is already a price, so I'm going to do Vlad's price. Just, I know that it's unique. Now, here again, I have my 5 positive and 1 negative, and I have to tell Uber, tell my model which one is good, which one is bad. Again, this one, it's the bad one, so I'm clearly telling him no label. This has no label. I'll go for the next one. Here, on the second one, I know that this is my price. So I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to save this. So I'm telling to Syntex where he can get the file. I'll select the third one. I know that this is my price. I'll save. I'll go here. I'll save. I'll go here. I'll save. And I'll go here. I'll save. So basically, Syntex is now capable to understand that Gokan is looking for that specific value within his invoices, right? Now that everything is okay, I'll click on train. Again, I have to add some explanations. Now, instead of telling him how we could understand that this is a Uber invoice, now I have to tell him how we can get that value and put them into SharePoint. We have been using blank, so let's now use from a template. You have the 2 ones that I always love to use, the after label and the before label. If I click after label, it will already show me some fair list examples. As you can see, if I click on before label, it shows me some explanations, fair list, digits, and so on and so on. So AI behind Syntex is intelligent enough to already understand and propose you some explanation. I'll go for after label. My label is 43.12. After my label, what do I see? Gokan. So he was intelligent enough to add Gokan within my explanation. But I do also have a temporary. Why? Simple because there is one invoice which has no Gokan, but temporarily as a word within the invoice. So we automatically added that into my explanation. So in any case, if I have another invoice which starts with a temporary, then he will understand that this is about a Uber invoice. I'm going to save and train, and we'll see what's going to happen. Why do I see this? Okay, we'll try adding another one. I'll go for a template again, and I'll go like before label. And before my label, I always have that euro sign. So I will just remove that, people from the US, for you guys, that should be the dollar sign. So for us in EMEA, I'm using the euro sign. So I'm going to add just this one. Hopefully now I won't get any error anymore. And you'll see that the syntax model is running through the explanations, and it says, oh, fantastic, I have an accuracy of 100%. I can, with the explanations you provide, understand that you are looking for that kind of value between the Goken and the dollar sign, which is a Uber invoice. You don't need to test. I'm going to just exit the training. So I have added my files, I have my accuracy of 100%, and I have my extractors. Now I need to apply this to a document library. I don't know if I have a document library already ready. So what I'm going to do is Syntex Center of Excellence. Oh, I see something just here. Oh, I have one, DL. I'm going to use that one. So I'm going to apply that model to the DL document library. If I click on Add, well, you will now see here that it's applied to that specific library. If I click on Go to Library, well, you will see the Vlad Price column just coming here. So are we ready to make a test? If I just come and say Upload Files and go to Downloads, I have the same Uber invoices just here. And I'm going to just click one as a test. And what you now will see is this. We are analyzing your files. You'll see the extracted info in the column of the library. So syntax model is now trying to understand the value that will come from the Uber 001. What I will now do is I will upload a bunch of more. So we will see the values coming here into my document library. This can take a while for the first time. So we will go for the second demo with AI Builder, and then we will come back here and check for the values. Here, within my document library, I will again go to Classify and Extract, and you will see that the Uber invoicing extracting model have been applied to that specific document library. If I go to Available, I will create, oh, even before creating, like, look, he could extract the value from my Uber invoice 37.76. If I open my PDF within my browser, well, you will see that this is 37.76. So we can say that this demo was a real success, although we had some issues with the extracting, but that's probably my network. But you can see that all the values are being extracted and put into my column Vlad Price. How fantastic is this, Vlad?
It's pretty good. I'm still waiting for you to pay those invoices. Since you have my name on it, I'm still waiting for the money. But other than that, it's really, really cool that you're able to do it this fast. And it only took 1 minute to do it on 5 documents. How long will it take if you add like 1,000?
It all depends on how busy your tenant is and how fast. And I know that Microsoft is doing everything they have in their possession to make it as fast as possible. And they're even introducing some ways on cutting up PDF pages so you can extract data faster. But do I have some metrics? I do not. But I can clearly assure you that Microsoft is doing their best to make this as fast as possible, no matter how many data you try to put in your document library. Now, if I click on Classify and Extract, go to Available and click on Create, I have those two. Well, actually, those 5 are almost identically the same. Here one, you will create your AI Builder from Power Platform model, and those one are pre-built ones. So I'm going to just choose randomly the layout one. It again gives you some explanation. If you click on Next, again, you have to give a name. So I'll go for layout Vlad text talk. You can give a description, and then you can add a new content type or use an existing one. Remember when at the beginning I told you when I showed the difference between the unstructured and structured models, the last one about the sensitivity labels? Well, with the unstructured, I could choose highly confidential and so on and so on. But with this one, I still cannot choose that one. So that's going to come hopefully very soon with the structured models. If I click on create, well, now what's going to happen is I'll be redirected not to the SharePoint syntax, where actually I had to build that knowledge with explanations, extractors, with the accuracy and so on. But now I'm actually within the Power Platform AI Builder component to build my model to be working within SharePoint. My model is now being created, and what I will do is I will just, while this is being loaded, I'll go to make.powerapps.com. So you would say, hey, why would you go there? Well, simply if you connect to make.powerapps.com, on the left side you have the AI models, and within that AI model, well, you'll see that there should be a new one coming here once the SharePoint is done creating my layout model. And you can actually come and delete that model or modify, do anything you want, as the backend is still Power Platform. Now, the experience is quite different because now it asks you to create already the kind of extract you want to have. So remember, we did the price, but now we can go for something else. And the same info is valuable for it as well. We only have like 5, which 3 is in preview. My dream would be having the Dataverse column types all from here. So to make it easy for the demo goats, I'm going to use text field, and I'll extract the address or the location from where my course started. I'll add another one. I'll go, they're all in preview, another one, and I'll again go for the price just to make stuff clear and consistent. I have 2 extracts I want to make from my documents. Here, if I click on next, I'll create a new collection, and I'll have to add some documents. I'll again choose the 5, and here, well, you don't have to add a negative one. It's all going to be like good minimum 5 examples of invoices. If you click on done, well, you have your collection with the 5 invoices, and now you will get a preview of your invoice within your screen. And now it's, and that's the reason why I love this, because it's the easiest way on building models. You have to just select the value you want to extract, and you click on the type of column you have. So I had price, I'll select price, and this is my address. So I'm going to just, select all of that and say this is my location. I'll go on the next one. It's a little bit monkey work, but that's okay. Price, and I'm going to just come here and say, hey, this is my location. I'll go for the third one. Again, I'll choose my price and say, this is my location. This is my price, and this is my location. This is my price, and finally, this is my location. So
Are
what
you
I
happy
did,
there is not a 10 minimum right now, Goken? Are you happy it's only 5?
very happy. So you can't imagine, I had like one customer when we had like 35 of them, and with 10 extracted fields, it's a bit, annoying to do it one by one, but I'm happy for the demo. You select them very quickly. You have like those options. You can remove the tag. You can even say that specific tag is not available into that document or even not into that collection. You could have perfectly a text field which is available only into a specific collection, so you can even mix and match collections within your model. If I click on next, well, basically that's it. Remember, with the teaching method, you had to do all of bunch of stuff with extractors, accuracy, explanations. With the AI Builder ones within the Power Platform, well,
Goken,
yes.
sorry to interrupt. Apparently, in the last one, you tagged the location and the price swapped.
Oh, that's possible.
That's what I've been told. Maybe you need some Nespresso. You should join me next time too. But let's see what the result is. You might have just messed up the model. Let's see.
But the problem is, my friends, the model is training. So with the SharePoint one, the result was almost immediately. However, if I come back to my AI models just here and just do a refresh, well, you will see that this one is training. And I know that this one can take from 25 minutes up to 24 hours, depending on how big your model and your collections and your extracted field is. So if I made a mistake, my apologies, Vlad and all the attendees, but it's about, understanding how this is working. You just create your fields and you tag that into the correct location into your invoices. Was that clear enough, Vlad, or should I do it again?
Well, as much as I would love to make you do it again for the fun of it, I think we understood the concept. So we'll let you finish. As much as I would love to make you go through those 5 documents again.
Please, God, no. So at least it's training, and within 25 minutes, normally this should be available, and you can start test. But that's all the logic behind on how you do these structured models within Syntex. Now, I have to go back to my slides because I'm not done yet. I have a bunch of stuff to show you guys. Here is my, there we go. So you also have what we call the content assembly. So now that we have the 2 models, the unstructured and structured, you also have the templates, right? But it's the same as the structured ones. I'm not going to show you 5 times the same thing. What's really important is that you can also create content assembly. You upload a certain specific type of Word document, because it only works with docx and doc extensions, where you shouldn't have any comments or track changes. And then you can create a modern template with that very quickly and very easily. Let me show that to you. I have my document library just here. And what you will see is when Syntex is enabled, okay, I'll probably have to create a new one for XYZ reasons. So I'll go for the site contents. And then I'll create a new document library. I will call this the modern template. There we go. And I'll create that one. Here, well, what you will see is the classic stuff, right? Folder, document, Excel, blah, blah, blah. But within the Syntex license, you also get the create modern template. If I click on it, well, what's going to happen is it will tell you, Goken, okay, you can do that, but pick a file. If I go to my training files, remember what I told you? It's not working with PDF files. It's going to be empty. I'll have to go to my invoices and click on actually one doc or docx. So I'm going to choose a 05, and I like to use that one as a foundation to build my template. So this is, again, and that's my browser. So I need to open Chrome. And that's the funny side of the story. I have to show a Microsoft demo in Google Chrome. Oh, yeah. Okay, come on.
Working on it. I miss the working on it, like, the GIF. At least you would have something to look at while stuff loads.
Oops.
Did you break Microsoft 365, Goken, again?
I have no idea what's happening.
I'll talk to Jeff. I'll text Jeff. Goken broke
like
the
even the logo
again.
Even the logo is not loading. It's crazy, my friend. It's I'm breaking everything. So let's try again. I'll go here and I'll pick up a file from the training files, and I'll click for invoices, and I'll go for number 5. Let's see if this one is working. There we go. This one is working. So it will basically open for you your invoice, and that's the invoice I'm going to send to Vlad because I'm presenting a 1-hour workshop for him. $55,678. Is that okay for you, Vlad? Just say yes, so I have recording.
Depends what kind of dollars it is. I'm sure I can find some cheap dollar out there. Perfect. I don't see a currency there, so it's good.
So I have to, as I did, create a field. Well, that field is going to be very basically whenever I go to my document library and create a file, well, that specific field should be replaced. Okay, so I like to replace the invoice number as an example. I'm hoovering it. You will see it's going to be here. I'll give it a name, invoice date or invoice number to be precise. I'll confirm this and I'll click on next. Now, you have 3 ways on filling up some data. Well, you can enter that data manually, enter text or date within a single line of text, number, and so on. You can go for metadata, or you can go for lists. So this is the list. If I have a list, I can just go select a list and take that data, or I can go for manage metadata and choose from metadata. Let's do all of them. Here, for the first one, I'll go for a single line of text. I like to have a free form whenever I build something on that document. I'll click on Save. The next one, field, I'll go for payment options. Right? You can see whenever I send an invoice, I like that the customer pays me in 14 days. I'll go here and select that one and say confirm. I have the name, click on next, and now I can choose from a column or from metadata. I'll go for metadata, and within Syntex, I have a term set with terms 14 days, 3 days, 30 days, and 60 days. I'll go for my payment options and I'll click on save. Now I have a second field, which will actually be coming from my manage metadata. And the last one, I can create a field, and I have no clue idea, but let's go for my bank account number, and then just click on confirm, click on next, and go for a list. And here I do have a list. And then you can, and then that's the really bad part of the story. You have to know by heart which column you have to use. If you're not the owner of the list and you have like 55 different columns, it's going to be difficult. So I really hope that they change that interface. But I know I'm using the title one, so I'll click on the title column within my list and click on save. Now, if I click on publish, I'll give it a name, Vlad invoice template, and I'll publish this. So now within my document library, I will have a template which comes from my 005, and then I have to fill in that information specifically into that document library. I'm going to refresh just to make sure that it's working. And now you see that I do have a Vlad invoice template. If I click here, well, you'll see again within the Syntex license, I'll have 3 things to fill in. The first one is the invoice number, which is here. That's free form. I can write anything I want. Here, the payment options comes from manage metadata. I like him to pay in 60 days. And this is coming from my SharePoint list. Now you'll see that the document gets 3 different values. And if I create that document, I can say this is my invoice 006. And if I create this, well, you'll see within that document library, I can use any value that comes from freeform, manage metadata, or from a list and create my new invoice. We only have like 5 minutes left, so I'm gonna skip all the demo slides. I'll go directly to the last exercise or the last demo I'd like to show you. Well, you probably all have seen this within. There we go. Within the document library, you have the automate section, and then you can see the rules. With Syntex, well, to be honest, first, without Syntex, you'll see the free, classic, and free rules that you will get. Data in column changes, a new file is being added, or a new file is being deleted. So in a document library, if a file is being deleted, well, what can you do? You can send an email, and you can send an email to yourself. So basically, it will create a rule for you. Whenever someone deletes a file, well, you get an email. With the Syntex license, basically, all the new stuff that they will create as a new rule will be appearing here. If I'm not wrong, and I'm pretty sure I forgot it, they have 3 or 2 new rules that will come with the Syntex license in the content ruler. But then they said it's going to be for free. Then it was again in the license. Like, you know, when I tell you the unstructured model is with license or with pay-as-you-go, when you know that the structured model is with license plus the AI builder credits, when you know that SAM is $3 per month per user, when you know that Viva Topics is yet another licensing model, I think from a licensing perspective, Microsoft has a bunch of to do. Finally, the last thing I like to show you, and I know we are very short on time. Vlad, is it okay if we skip OCR? Because I like to keep this for the next video. I know there was a question,
we can cover it in the next video, and we'll send it to everybody by default as a quick recap of stuff we didn't have time to cover.
Fantastic. The last thing I'd like to show you is this one. So we have a roadmap, a public roadmap. It's not something which is hidden by XYZ. It's what we have today in the market and what will come very soon. I'm not going to deep dive into that because that's for the next one. And that's the final slide. Syntex is way more than Syntex only. You only need to know how you have to license it. And Syntex does a lot of stuff, from document processing to content assembly to search, content rules, OCR, role class management with capabilities, but actually way more than even that. And the next chapter, the next video, is all going to be about what's coming soon to Syntex. And all the blank parts that is hidden on that slide, well, they will be made available in the next video, right, Vlad?
Absolutely.
So I think that was it.
Gökhan, I have two questions for you so far. Okay. The first one was a bit earlier. Do you know if for the Syntex Content Center, we can just change the URL of it from the SharePoint SharePoint Online Admin Center, like any other SharePoint site? Are there any implications if we change the URL or no?
I've been trying it and I don't know. And I was so scared to do it. What I can tell you is there is no way from the Office 365 Admin Center to change this. There is no way. I know that from the SharePoint side of the story, you can do it, right? You can rename sites, that's all possible. What the implications are from a non-existent site, I don't know. Because I don't see any reason why Microsoft would not give us the option to modify the link from the Office 365 Admin Center. So probably yes, you can from the SharePoint Admin Center, but what the implications are, I don't know.
Okay, the second question is about the content assembly. And the question is, does it also work for one-to-many mappings instance? For example, being able to enter multiple instances of the field, maybe multiple names, addresses, like in a table. As of now, it seems to be limited to only one-to-one field value mapping for only one instance.
What I know is that you can have conditional applications like, hey, if that value is equal to that, fill that. And if that value is equal to that, fill that. You can use, what I've been using is a text field, but there is also the table option. So if you want to map to multiple arrays, then you probably could use the table. Is that the perfect solution? No, it's not. And I know we have a bunch of better options that you could use outside of the Microsoft world, but within Syntex, that's what you get. I would suggest you to use the table type to check if you can fit multiple values as an array into a table.
Awesome. I do not see any other questions. Gökhan, I'll have to tell you, you're going to have to look at the chat after the webinar. We've had quite a bit of non-serious fun in there, so you're definitely going to have to look at that. But I think this is it. No, everything is good about you. Always good about you.
That's good.
But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We really appreciate that you took 1 hour of your time to listen to this amazing presentation by Gökhan about Microsoft Syntex. For those of you attending live, you will get the recording and the slides by email within 24 hours. If you don't, just ping me or Gökhan on LinkedIn and we'll be able to send it to you. Sometimes those emails go into junk and things like that. So if you don't get it in 24 hours, don't just ping us and you'll have it. And for those of you that are watching the recording, thank you so much for getting this far. We hope you found it valuable, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining, and see you next time.